families of Providence and the taxpayers of Providence and all of our employees, both school and city employees. I wanted to take an opportunity to let folks know that we have come to an agreement, and I'm really pleased about that fact. This sort of fighting that we've been having over budget and finance has not been good for Providence families, and it's not been good for all of our employees. And so I'm happy to say that that moment has now passed. We have come to resolution, and when the agreement becomes public after we've dotted all of our I's and crossed all of our T's, we'll of course make all those details available and answer questions about the specific terms of the agreement. But I wanted to thank my team who've been really hard working at this, and the folks across the table from PPSD. There have been difficult moments, but there's never been a doubt that everyone at the table cared about the students and families in Providence, and it's a relief that we've come to the best possible agreement for everyone involved.
What's the possibility of a mid-year tax increase at this point?
We think that a tax increase is inevitable. A mid-year tax increase might be avoided, however. The taxpayers of Providence, in order to properly fund our schools, are going to have to help contribute to that. But my plan is not to put in all of the burden on the taxpayers, and there will still be cuts and sacrifices in city government. We know that families and businesses in Providence are strained, and additional taxes only add to the cost of housing, the cost of rent, or the cost of doing business here in Providence. And so it is inevitable that there will be a tax increase, but no, our taxpayers should know that city government is doing its part to tighten its belt as well. Our hope is that we can avoid a mid-year tax increase, but instead plan for a tax increase in the upcoming budget year.
You'll only be able to raise taxes by around $15 million next year without getting special permission. Do you think that that is enough?
When we disclose the terms of the agreement, we'll be sure to explain to our residents how we're going to fund this, and it is likely that we'll need to go over the cap.
Mayor, two parts. One, when did you first learn that you had a dispute with the Department of Education?
I mean, this dispute predated me, and so when I was in transition, after I had become mayor-elect and started working with the previous administration on transition planning, this was certainly a topic of conversation. Exactly what month that was, I'm not sure, but it was before being sworn in.
And then October 29th, Fitch issued a bond rating and upgraded the city's bonds. Now, it was the 29th. On the 1st, you issued a press release. I assume you looked at the bond rating document. There is absolutely no mention of this dispute in any way, shape, or form. Is that you not disclosing it to them? Is that them not disclosing it to bondholders?
It's neither. Fitch was doing their annual update to the city's financials, and they submitted questions. When the questions were submitted, there had not been an order by the judge.
Why would the order of the judge matter? It's a dispute, it's a legal issue, it's material, it's significant, it's going to cause massive cuts, it's now going to cause a tax increase. How would that not be material?
So Fitch and the other ratings agencies have been well aware of this ongoing litigation. As you rightly point out, it's been going on for many years, and the ratings agencies, including Fitch, have known about it for many years. It has been fully disclosed.
They didn't disclose it in their report.
A material change in the case was an order. That order had not happened by the time that the document and questions had been submitted by Fitch.
What sort of cuts have you made any decisions on any cuts, or do you know what is likely?
So as I mentioned at I think it was last week's press conference, we've already implemented a hiring freeze and a non-essential spending freeze. When we disclose the terms of the agreement, we will outline how we intend to fund the agreement. What I would like to provide some comfort to residents and families about today, because there's been a tremendous amount of anxiety over this, and the point that I've made many times that some of the potential spending cuts that we would have to make would impact the same children and families that our schools serve, is we will be able to continue with our obligation to things like the libraries and our rec centers, so that any of those services that support our families, they should be able to sleep easy tonight, knowing that their funding will continue as budgeted throughout the rest of the fiscal year. I don't want that anxiety hanging over their head while the lawyers for my team and their team work out these final details.
So it sounds like the agreement is not the most catastrophic scenario that you had outlined last week.
I really can't speak to any of the financial terms, but because of the amount of well-founded anxiety in our community, I felt it necessary to just put some of those concerns at ease this afternoon until the final agreement comes out on Friday. And so things like library cuts and rec center cuts, these same services for families and children, which are a priority for me and for the City Council, they should know tonight that those cuts in the current fiscal year will not happen.
And
Mayor, will there be any,
I can't speak to that at this moment.
Mayor, will there be a conversation with the Providence Teachers Union about potential concessions?
As has been mentioned in the past, myself, my administration, and the City Council are not at the table with the Providence Teachers Union. Both Rhode and PPSD are running those negotiations, and so that's a question for them.
And will there be any attempt, at least for the administration of the school department, to publicly acknowledge what cuts they're going to make?
That's also a question for them. Great. Thanks, everybody.
Was there anything else that you're saying libraries are safe, rec centers are safe. Was there anything else that was on the table that is no longer on the table?
There's nothing else that I can speak to today. I wanted to make sure that those areas of most anxiety that was touching these same families, that the kids and their parents knew that their libraries were still going to be open, and that all of the services that they enjoy through our rec department, through the libraries and such, and the plans for the summer will be as planned at the beginning of the fiscal year. Anything else will have to wait till Friday.
Like DVD Fest?
Everything else will have to wait till Friday.
And on the General Assembly stuff in January, are you going to ask for changes to the Crowley Act based on the fact that the city clearly disagrees with the way that funding is laid out?
The General Assembly, obviously, General Assembly members are duly elected on their own right. They may or may not pursue certain legislation. You'd have to ask them. The city's legislative agenda has not been unveiled yet, and so when we do so, we'll be sure to share it with you.
Mayor Smiley, do you still want the city to take back Providence schools as soon as possible?
I do. I think it is time to return our schools to local control. I know the City Council feels the same way, and I believe the new City Council, the new school board members do as well. So we're all going to be working as hard as possible to try to return our schools to local control as soon as possible.
What
It's
are
time.
you doing to try to do that? Are you lobbying the K-12 Council? I mean, you can't just take them, of course. There has to be a vote.
Well, I think resolving today's long-standing issue is an important step along the way. This was a meaningful step in progress and a major stumbling block between the parties, and so I'm optimistic that we took a positive step forward today in that respect.
Does today's agreement resolve anything for the future, or are we going to be back here next year?
I can't speak to any of the terms of the agreement until it's ready on Friday.
Thank you.
Have you heard anything
Thank
about
you.
the court?
Mayor,
Mayor
one question.
Smiley, much different tone. Are you at peace with the decision?
That was discussed earlier, but he didn't address it.